So this is a Week 8, 2023 NFL TV schedule for October 20, 2023 for Sunday games. So Thursday night is a national broadcast. Tampa at Buffalo. It's on Amazon Prime Video. And it's going to be simulcast on WTVT, Fox 13, Tampa Bay, Florida. And in the KBW, ABC 7 in Buffalo, New York. The early window, there's going to be the early window. You're going to see, most of the country is going to see Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. However, New York, New Jersey, and the Philadelphia area, as well as maybe some of like Rhode Island, maybe a little bit of that area is up there. Most of New York is going to see that game. You're going to see them. New York Jets at New Jersey, and all that. The Philadelphia area is going to see New York Jets at New York Giants. With Andrew Callan, Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, I knew Charles Davis. CBS number 2 is going to do Pittsburgh. Then we have New England, Miami, Sparrow Deeds, Emma. Usually the last crew. Usually, unless there's a fill-in crew. New England, Miami. And yeah, they're only in Miami, Florida area. The New England, like a little bit of New York, Vermont, Maine, Massachusetts. All that area. In Hawaii. And then you got Birmingham, Alabama, because one of those players must have went to some of those players on the team must went to the University of Alabama. Like Tua Tagovailoa, the University of Alabama. So that's why they're showing that one in the Birmingham area only. And then Hawaii. Someone must have went to Hawaii. Maybe that's big. I don't know who. And Atlanta, Tennessee. Nashville. It's most of Tennessee. Some of North Carolina. Most of South Carolina. Most of Georgia. Most of Alabama. Of Mississippi. A little bit of Arkansas. A little bit of Texas. All Louisiana. A little bit of Arkansas and Oklahoma. And a little bit of Kentucky. A little bit of Missouri. And a little bit of Illinois. In CBS Late, there is usually Beth Mullins is the fill-in if there's number 7 for play-by-play, and Ross Tucker is usually number 7 for play-by-play announcers. But Beth Mullins is with James Lofton and Jay Feely because Chris Lewis is going to be with Ross Tucker. Mix things up this week. And the CBS Late window is Cincinnati at San Francisco is in the Jim Nantz funeral. But a good bit of the country is going to see Kansas City at Denver. It's going to be all of Iowa, a little bit of Minnesota, most of South Dakota, most of Montana and Wyoming area, of Colorado, all of Utah, most of Nevada, some of Idaho, most of Texas, some of New Mexico, a little bit of Arizona, and all of Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa, most of Arkansas, most of Illinois, and a little bit of Tennessee and Kentucky. And then Baltimore and Arizona. Yeah, most of Arizona is going to see except for a tiny bit. Then a little bit of California, in the Maryland area, in the DC area, and a little bit of West Virginia, and a little bit of Pennsylvania. And then Fox Single is going to. Most of the feature game is going to be LA Rams at Dallas, Ken Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, and there's going to be some secondary games. Here, well, on the Fox Single window, we'll show you here what they are in a second. The second best game is Philadelphia at Washington. Well, the second game. There's West Palm Beach, Florida. Some of us went to one of the schools down there in Florida, played down there for school game. And then Birmingham, Alabama, Jalen Hurts. I believe Jalen Hurts in Alabama. So there's showing that one in Birmingham, Alabama. And then there's Alabama Crimson Tide area. And then you got almost to Pennsylvania, the DC, about Maryland area for the Commanders. And then you got a little bit of West Virginia, some West Virginia. And then you got Minnesota, Green Bay. And that's Montana, a little bit of Wyoming, Montana, Wyoming area. You got a little bit of Nebraska, all of North to South Dakota, all Minnesota, most Iowa, most of all Wisconsin, Michigan, most of Michigan, and a little bit of Missouri and some of Chicago area in Illinois, and a little bit of Indy and the Chicago area too, Chicago metro area. Yeah, New Orleans, that's like Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, Kevin Kruger, Mark Sanchez. They don't get the shortest scheme. The short end of the stick, they don't get that one. They almost do, though. They're pretty close, though, to it. Indianapolis at New Orleans at Indianapolis. It's not like a bad game record-wise, though. It's just not the feature in the game. We have New Orleans, we have most of Indiana, a little bit of Illinois, some of Kentucky. Then we have most of Louisiana, not all of Louisiana. And then we have some of Florida, a little bit of Arkansas, and some of Mississippi, and some of Alabama. We have Houston at Carolina. The Houston Texans are just going to show that game. And then North and most of South, all North, a little bit of West Virginia, and a little bit of Virginia, my bad. A little bit, tiny bit of Virginia. Let's get a North Carolina station. And then some of most of South Carolina. And Cleveland at Seattle is a late game. And you're only going to see one game on Fox. That is Cleveland at Seattle. Cleveland, Ohio at Seattle. So most of Ohio is going to show that. So a little bit of Pittsburgh area, and most of West Virginia. A little bit of Kentucky. The New York City area, New Jersey area, and then Boston, Massachusetts area. And then all of Seattle. All like West Washington, all Oregon, a little bit of California, Idaho, and Montana, I believe. A little bit of Wyoming there. And that's it. And then Sunday is Chicago at the LA Chargers for NBC. And Las Vegas Detroit, ESPN and ABC Monday Night Football. Let's do a little teaser week 9. So week 9 is going to be two local simulcasts. Tennessee at Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football on Amazon. In Miami, Kansas City, and Frankfurt, Germany on NFL Network at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central in Kansas City, Missouri. Or Kansas City, Kansas. What's Kansas City, Missouri, though? And then Buffalo and Cincinnati and NBC. And LA Chargers at New York Jets and ESPN ABC. Buys are Denver, Detroit, Jacksonville, and San Francisco week 9. And then CBS single window. It's going to be Seattle, Baltimore, Chicago at New Orleans, Tampa at Houston, Arizona at Cleveland. And there's a lot of games that they're showing that are either or that are that are AFC NFC matchups except for Chicago and New Orleans. But maybe AFC Fox is showing in an AFC only matchup. And then Indianapolis at Carolina is late game. Sometimes they have those. Very rarely, though. Very rarely does that happen, though, where like they're like the late game. I mean, I've seen it happen though. Where like you'll have like 3:25 kickoff. Then there'll be two East Coast 3:25 kickoffs. Like it happened this year, where one's on the featured game, one's the featured game. And then there's somewhere there 3:05 on the East Coast for 3:05 Central, 4:05 Eastern, 4:05 Eastern on the East Coast. In the late window on the channel with the single window. It'll start at 4:05 and you'll play on the East Coast at 4:05. Usually that's reserved for West Coast teams is 4:05. Eastern 1:05 Pacific or 2-5 Mountain in the case of Denver. And then the CBS. But it does happen, where you get 4 or 5 Eastern is a game played in the East Coast. And sometimes we're 4:25. There's 2. Sometimes if you have an East Coast game at 4:25 Eastern, usually it's a featured game. But there's sometimes where there's 2 4:25 East Coast games, and one of them can't be the feature. And then we have Fox early, LA Rams at Green Bay, Washington at New England, Minnesota Atlanta, and Dallas at Philadelphia, and New York Giants at Las Vegas.